Friends, have you ever wondered, as human beings, how should we exist, and how should we truly live? Once we find a point of balance between our inner self and the way we live, our hearts can remain unmoved like a mountain, calm and composed, amidst all emotions and life's changes. This is Zen meditation. Zen meditation is an important concept in Buddhism, but it's not something mysterious or hard to grasp. It's an effective way to settle the body and mind and to live with clarity and purpose. The starting point of Zen meditation is simply sitting quietly and practicing meditation. When we calm our minds and begin to meditate, if we experience mental clarity, spacious awareness, fewer thoughts, and a relaxed body, and can sustain this state for a while, then we've already entered the initial stage of Zen meditation. Zen meditation also gives rise to inner wisdom. This kind of wisdom isn't something found in books, nor is it taught by others. It comes from direct self-awareness and personal insight. It helps us see life clearly and frees us from suffering. It is like an inner strength that not only brings peace to our hearts, but also heals negative emotions like anxiety, depression, and fear. At the core of Zen meditation lies the practice of stopping. Stopping means anchoring the mind in one place, focusing attention on a single point, gradually reducing distractions, and allowing the mind to become still. We can begin practicing stopping with the simplest method, sitting quietly and counting the breath. When beginners sit for meditation, they only need to keep the spine naturally upright and the chin slightly tucked. Hands should rest comfortably, and there's no need to force a cross-legged position. As long as the body is relaxed and the breath flows smoothly, sitting or lying down are both fine. Counting the breath means becoming aware of the brief pause between each inhale and exhale. We attentively count the intervals between each breath and rest the mind within that space, allowing it to settle naturally. This is the practice of breath counting. At the beginning of the practice, if you can consistently count the breath up to 100, you might be surprised to find that your worries and troubles seem to have been reduced by half. Of course, during the process of breath counting, thoughts and emotions will still arise from time to time. But the key is that the counting must not be interrupted. If it is interrupted, simply start again from the beginning. At first, your breathing may be heavy, and your mind may feel tense or anxious, but there's no need to force any adjustments. As your practice deepens, your breath will naturally become more delicate and even, and your awareness will gradually settle. Throughout the process, keep this in mind. Don't suppress your thoughts and emotions, and don't force the mind into complete stillness. As long as the breath count continues without being broken, that is a form of concentration. If you can place your full awareness into breath counting, even better. As the ancient saying goes, the essence of life lies between a breath in and a breath out. A complete Zen meditation practice includes two parts: stopping and insight. Stopping is the foundation. It allows the mind to settle. Insight is the elevation. It brings forth wisdom. At its peak, insight returns to stillness, and together they form complete meditative stability. Insight, or vipassana, is the clear and pure awareness of everything that is happening in the present moment. Awareness is like a mirror. It reflects all things, but clings to none of them. There may be images in the mirror, but the mirror itself remains unaffected. We can observe what is seen through our eyes, or the sounds we hear, or the rise and fall of the body as we breathe, or the changes in thoughts and emotions arising in the mind. But the most worthy object of observation is our own thoughts and emotions. Observing them is the key to untying inner knots and dissolving suffering. This kind of awareness is a complete and profound calm. It does not judge or interfere. It simply sees. When a thought arises, awareness reflects it instantly, like a mirror. When an emotion appears, awareness remains, simply observing. As practice deepens, you will realize you are not those fluctuating thoughts. You are the constant, unmoving awareness behind them. And awareness cannot be obtained through thinking, for once you try to define it with thought, you've already moved away from its true nature. If awareness becomes faster than the arising of emotions and thoughts, you will experience true freedom in each and every moment, and your inner world will become completely clear and peaceful. True initial Zen meditation is the recognition that you are awareness itself and not the object being observed. For those who are new to meditation and seated practice, it's sometimes hard to sit still for more than 5 minutes. The reason for this is often a lack of true relaxation. That's why, for beginners, it's important to choose a sitting posture that feels truly comfortable, so the mind can gradually become calm. If you find yourself falling asleep during seated meditation, that's actually a positive sign. It means you've begun to relax deeply. From a certain perspective, to enter Zen meditation, relaxation is even more important than alertness. In other words, we must begin with a calm and ordinary heart. For many beginners, they may sit with a desire to reach something, to find calmness, or to achieve a goal. Once this kind of anxiousness arises, or you start thinking, "Why haven't I entered a deeper state yet?" or feel like adjusting your posture or changing your method, then it can be said that the rest of your sitting becomes a waste of time. This is something to be especially mindful of. Even for those with some meditation experience, there can still be moments of frustration or discomfort, as if hitting an inner bottleneck that's hard to break through. In either case, we need to remind ourselves, what I'm doing isn't something sacred or special. It's plain and ordinary, something that could happen or not. It's no different from any other thing we do. With this ordinary heart, as the breath becomes long and subtle, in one unplanned moment, you may break through the threshold. A feeling of clarity, vitality, and joyful stillness may suddenly arise. And from then on, all we need to do is to rest in that state. It is a beautiful and transcendent experience, beyond any worldly pleasure. Just as one line in the Kaizen Tan, Vegetable Roots Discourse, says, "Sitting atop a stone, breath steady and mind forgotten, past and present are all but floating clouds." Although Zen meditation is indeed a beautiful experience, once we begin to experience it, we must not intentionally pursue the meditative state. Otherwise, its beauty will become an attachment and an obstacle. To sum up, before we begin meditation, there are a few essential mindsets we should carry, namely, nothing to reach, no mind to settle, no thoughts to analyze, and no awareness to seek. Nothing to reach means that there is no better mental or physical state in meditation that we must strive to attain. The presence of effort and expectation indicates that we are still caught in inner conflict. No mind to settle means that the mind doesn't need to be forced into calmness or silence. Zen is not a struggle against inner agitation. No thoughts to analyze means that before entering a deep state, our thoughts and emotions will come and go repeatedly, over and over again. We don't need to figure out why they arise or how to get rid of them. No awareness to seek means awareness is already always here. Don't try to find awareness as if it's hidden. During meditation, if we feel we've lost inner balance, it doesn't mean we've lost awareness. It simply means we're aware of the state of imbalance. With this kind of original intent, and with an ordinary mind that sees no distinction, we can begin our own seated meditation practice. And the arising of Zen meditation will come like a soft breeze, silently blowing away the fog within your heart. When we are able to enter Zen during seated meditation and become familiar with it, even become one with it, only then can we begin to bring Zen into our daily lives. The state of Zen is simply the presence of a pure, undisturbed mind. It is the reflection of our original nature. In words, it is called luminous awareness, free from attachment to senses and forms. Luminous awareness means that we become awareness itself, crystal clear and utterly lucid, with no more confusion or obstruction in the heart. Our sense of being becomes like a radiant light, both quiet and vibrant, emitting pure energy. Freedom from sensory attachment means that in deep meditation, we can't even recall the self, or rather, no extra thoughts arise at all. The eyes still see, but what is seen no longer holds added meaning. The ears still hear, but nothing heard stirs the mind. Thoughts may still arise occasionally, but they no longer seem important. All is equal, without separation or judgment. In summary, the meditative state achieved through seated practice is a profoundly peaceful, quiet, and joyful experience. In this state, all aspects of self-worth are fulfilled, and one becomes an ethereal presence, joyful and serene. Even the sense of time disappears, leaving only total immersion and unity. Yet, if we can become familiar with it again and again during meditation, find it repeatedly, then we can carry it into our everyday lives. And mindfulness is the first step in integrating Zen into daily life. Mindfulness means bringing meditative awareness into the details and gaps of daily living. As the saying goes, one mindful thought and you become Buddha. It means that between each breath, you can recognize your original pure nature. It's as if we are constantly returning inward, engaging in an inner awakening. There's a story that perfectly illustrates mindfulness. It's said there was a blacksmith who spent his days forging iron, with aching back and sore waist, and great suffering in his heart. One day he was advised by a monk to recite the Buddha's name with each strike of the hammer. The blacksmith followed this advice. Over time, he gradually found in each tiny movement of his work a deep sense of stillness and concentration. His mind held no stray thoughts. He no longer thought of anything. He let go, and the work no longer felt tiring. When he neared the end of his life, he left a short poem. Ding ding dang dang, iron long struck becomes steel. Peace draws near, I journey to the western paradise. This blacksmith had practiced mindfulness in every moment. In every small movement and interval, he achieved Zen, found inner stillness, and discovered who he truly was. So it is said, that all 84,000 methods of practice lead to Zen. Chanting the Buddha's name is Zen. Observing the precepts is Zen. Anything done with unwavering focus is Zen. In everyday life, we all have different kinds of work, but every small motion and moment of pause can also be Zen. The time we spend waiting in line, the pause while riding an elevator, the instant we gaze out a window, all of these are opportunities for Zen and mindfulness to occur. Taking it even further, in any moment, like the sensation of picking up a cup, or the contact of your foot with the ground while walking, or the glance toward a tree at the roadside, we can experience a sense of meditative stillness, vitality, and Zen-like joy. This feeling is like seeing the world through a fresh lens moment by moment, bringing everything back to its original nature, returning all things to their natural state of peace. Then in our lives, there is no more waiting or anticipating, and each moment of the present becomes unified, focused, and still. To realize this deeply means we have already begun to realize Zen in everyday life, and through silent example, bring stillness and harmony to those around us. Of course, the greatest test of our meditative practice lies in our relationships with others in daily life, and in the unexpected events that life throws at us. If we can remain in meditation even within our relationships, then we've truly integrated the practice into all aspects of life. And all relationships ultimately reflect the relationship between ourselves and our own thoughts. For example, if the body is in pain, a thought of fear may arise in the mind, and with it comes suffering. Or perhaps someone slanders or belittles us in life, and a thought of resistance arises within. Then thoughts of right and wrong, and emotions like anger, follow. Wang Yangming, in his youth, failed the imperial examination multiple times, but he said that failing the exam was not a cause for shame. Only being disturbed by it was shameful. What he meant was, it doesn't matter if you fail, but if that failure causes you inner turmoil or depression, even the slightest trace of such a thought is a kind of shame in itself. When Wang Yangming said this, he wasn't suppressing his emotions. He had transcended them. He had achieved Zen in the face of his own thoughts. In every life situation, he remained free from self-attachment and reactive mind. For ordinary people, to achieve Zen in relationships means we must deeply observe the root cause of each thought. In other words, we must learn to recognize the self behind every arising thought. And when many such clear moments are connected together, we begin to stitch together all the fleeting moments of awareness, and thus truly turn walking, standing, sitting, and lying into meditation. This is the real test of our power of observation. When this power of observation becomes strong, we can remain detached from all appearances at all times and stay rooted in meditative stillness. Observation happens right here, in this very second. When we hear a piece of wisdom or feel a burst of joy, can we observe the arising of that joy, or do we become lost in it? When we do good deeds and release living beings, is it to dispel an inner fear and find a sense of comfort? Is our kindness merely a result of cultural conditioning? How have our beliefs been constructed over time? Observe when you're meditating or doing something you love, that part of you that doesn't want to be disturbed. Observe the desire to be free from suffering when you're upset. Observe the part that wants to defend yourself, to prove you're right. Observe your desires and ambitions. Observe yourself comparing different philosophies or pieces of wisdom, trying to find the ultimate truth. We don't need to find answers to these questions. Just observe. Just see clearly. The act of seeing itself is clarity. To see clearly is the truth and the liberation. In every moment of clear seeing, you return to your own original purity. This is Zen in relationships. A true practitioner of the way often forgets that they are even practicing. They use the practice naturally when needed, and that's it. When wisdom truly enters your heart, observing a flower or a tree becomes a unified form of practice. Why would we need to search elsewhere for truth or ultimate answers? Even mud and broken tiles are Buddha. This very moment is the unity of nirvana. One who is truly enlightened simply smiles when meeting another, and in that gentle smile, two hearts become one. Just like on Vulture Peak long ago during the Dharma assembly, when the Buddha held up a flower and Mahakashyapa smiled. The deep meaning of that moment was Zen within relationship. Do you understand now? All right. Thank you so much for staying with me all the way to this point. I truly hope this has touched you and offered some inspiration. See you next time.